How does a show about a half-god in leather trousers become one of the biggest syndicated shows of its time, made while Baywatch and Star Trek Deep Space Nine were still ruling television? It turned Greek myth into a colourful fantasy watched in over 100 countries. So how did this 90s hit make it through on-set turmoil, fan backlash, and a final season that got the chop? Let's find out. This is the history of Hercules: The Legendary Journeys.
Hercules possessed a strength the world had never seen, a strength surpassed only...
In the early 90s, producer Robert Tapert was in New Orleans working on Hard Target with John Woo, while his partner Sam Raimi was also working on the Hudsucker Proxy with the Coen brothers. Then Universal exec David Icke called Tapert. The studio wanted a rotating batch of 2-hour action movies, and one of them was Hercules. Tapert wasn't really up for it. He told Icke that wasn't really their thing, and he didn't want their names on it unless it was actually worth it. Icke told him he would make sure of it. So Raimi shot a short promo for the project, and the suits used it to sell the package. When the studio came back to them to make the movie, Raimi and Tapert told the suits they wanted to make Conan instead. But Universal said the rights for Conan were an absolute mess, so they had to make Hercules. So they turned to writer Chris Williams and asked him to work out how to make the character of Hercules feel like someone worth watching every week. This version had to be warmer. He couldn't feel like some enormous bloke stomping through ancient Greece like a museum exhibit with a gym membership. The aim was a modern, good-hearted Hercules who solved problems with as little malice as possible. Tapert compared the idea to a Joe Montana type, someone athletic, likable, and easy to root for. They said they wanted the energy of old Captain Kirk-era Star Trek, strange fights, fun adventure, and stories that felt more like small feature films than myth lessons. Once that version of Hercules was on the page, the lead role had to match it. When Kevin Sorbo first heard the title, he thought they would want some no-neck steroid bloke walking around saying stupid lines. Then he read the first couple of scripts and said the part looked fun to play, and that changed his mind. The audition process though was still massive. Sorbo said he was one of more than 2,000 actors who tried out for the role, and the callbacks went on for 3 months. Each time he was brought back with a different group of actors, and every time he asked what they wanted him to change. The producers told him they liked what he was doing. Eventually, he got a call telling him he got the part while he was filming a guest role in Vancouver on his birthday. With Sorbo playing Hercules, Michael Hurst came in as Iolaus, his loyal friend and sidekick. Anthony Quinn joined the TV movies and played Zeus. But once the weekly series launched, the role was played by different actors across the show's run. From there, the mythological cast kept expanding. Kevin Smith appeared as Ares, the god of war. Bruce Campbell also made reoccurring appearances as Autolycus, the king of thieves.
Maybe this isn't going to be so easy.
Hercules was originally planned as 4 2-hour films, but when the production reached the 3rd film, Universal added a 5th one. Once they aired, the ratings changed everything. Kevin Sorbo said the numbers were really strong, so Universal turned it into a weekly series. That premiered in January 1995. And by July that year, it had climbed to the top of the weekly syndication rankings. On the other hand, the critics weren't exactly jumping out of their seats. Variety had problems with the forced dialogue and characters sounding too modern. Entertainment Weekly called it one of the most self-aware junk television shows, pointing to the comic book action for kids and the modern slang jokes for adults.
Hercules.
Blow it out and make a wish.
A birthday surprise.
Behind the scenes, the show became a heavy New Zealand shoot, built around locations, stunts, creature effects, and long days. From 1994, Weta Workshop worked with Renaissance Pictures on puppets, creature suits, and special makeup effects. For Sorbo, that meant years in the same basic costume while other actors got different outfits across the show. But the leather trousers wore out quickly during fight scenes, so they had to be rotated every 2-3 days. Those fight scenes also left Sorbo with a few injuries, like a gash head from a real metal sword, and he injured his neck twice while shooting 3 fights per episode. Then, in 1997, his health took a serious turn. That summer, he started feeling pain and cold sensations in his left arm and hand. Doctors checked him and said they found nothing serious, but the pain continued. Then, severe shoulder pain hit while he was lifting weights. After a chiropractor visit, he drove home with blurry vision and dizziness, and the next morning his speech was slurred and he could barely walk. So he went to the hospital, and doctors found an aneurysm near his shoulder that had caused blood clots. 2 main arteries into his hand were blocked, and an MRI then showed he had suffered 3 separate strokes. He spent weeks in the hospital, and when he returned to the set, he came back with limited hours, while the scripts were changed around him and more guest stars were brought in to help carry the show. He later said it took 2 years before he began to feel like himself. By season 5, the show also had a writing problem. Robert Tapert said Hercules was difficult to write because he was the good guy all the time. So they killed his best friend. Many fan sites say the producer's plan was just to kill off the character, as they brought him back from the dead a few times before. According to Tapert, the plan was to bring him back again, but fans didn't know that, and that's why they were pissed off. He said the move was done to give Sorbo more dramatic material and let the show do things that weren't the same every week. By the time Hercules reached its 6th season, Kevin Sorbo had already made his decision. The studio offered him a 3-year extension, but he turned it down. By then, he had already taken the lead role in Andromeda, and after years on the show, he was burnt out. So the final season was cut down to 8 episodes, because Renaissance and Studios USA had Cleopatra 2025 and Jack of All Trades ready to take over the slot. And of course, they reacted badly to Sorbo's rejection. So Hercules aired its final episode in November 99 after 6 seasons and 111 regular episodes. Sorbo later said the ending should have been handled differently. Andromeda was still 8 months away, so he felt Hercules could have finished a full 22-episode season and given the fans some closure. Looking back at it, he said the short final season hurt the show and the fans.
Can't you just die like a good boy?
It's not over yet! On the next Hercules, the Legendary Journeys.
After the show ended, it got a much better home media life than a lot of syndicated shows. Anchor Bay Entertainment released the series on DVD in the early 2000s. And then Universal brought it back in 2018 as a complete series set across 25 discs. Now, at the time of filming this episode, there hasn't been an official Blu-ray release. Now, for fans who want to add the series to their collection, I've added a link in the description below, and there should be a card popping up on screen to help you check it out. Beyond the home media side, Hercules became a franchise Universal never expected. That started with Xena, the warrior princess.
Warlords and kings, a land in turmoil.
She came into Hercules as a guest star, playing a warrior villain, then turned away from evil across her 3-episode arc. The studio saw enough in her to give her a full series that started in September 95 and ran for 6 seasons and 134 episodes. The franchise also tried to go younger with Young Hercules, which starred Ryan Gosling as a young Hercules.
Zeus, king of the gods, ruled the universe.
That version ran on Fox Kids from September 98 to May 99, but only lasted 1 season. There was also the 1998 animated film Hercules and Xena, the animated movie, with several actors from the live-action shows returning for voice work. The tie-ins kept going as well. Topps published the 5-issue Hercules comic miniseries in '96, and the franchise also had novels, trading cards, and a video game for the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color. It even reached Universal Studios Florida with the Hercules and Xena Wizards of the Screen, an interactive attraction that opened in '97 and ran until around 2000. Years later, the show is still mostly remembered as the show that launched Xena and kept the 90s syndicated fantasy alive and gave Kevin Sorbo the role people still connect to him first. Now, as for my own take on it, I really liked the show when I was a kid. It had action, funny storylines, and that proper 90s adventure feel. Now, I hadn't really watched it again until I started making this episode, and going back to it now, it's still alright. Okay, it's still a bit cheesy, but for the 90s, the tone really worked. And we're not done yet. Next time, we take a look at another classic series. Until then, why don't you check out our previous episode on The Highwayman? Thanks for watching, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.